Yo, what's up, founders? In this video, I'm going to showcase my August 2025 income report as a solopreneur. And just a little background, I've been working for myself for 2 years and 1 month full time. I started building a little internet website businesses when I still had a full time job, and now I just do this full time. So I am creating this because I personally want to look at my business, look at like my business finances better and better understand them. And I'm the type of person that when I make something a project, I just do it better. And so for the first month, I felt like I would share numbers and share my thinking. And if you, I don't know, comment in the comments if you feel like this is helpful, and also if you think I like missed something, like if you were like an MBA student or like you understand business finance really well, then and you're like, oh, you missed this, then like I want to know because I want to become better at this. So all right, so in August 2025, the business that I made had a total revenue of just over $13,000 for the month, and so this the net profit is just over 9,000, and we'll kind of cover these numbers a little bit. And then what I paid myself as the founder was just over $5,000. All right, so let's talk about each of these a little bit as like a breakdown. So on the left side, you can see where we have the business revenue, and then on the right side we have the business finances. All right, so here you can see that I don't just have one website, but instead I have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now these aren't all 7 websites, but let me just kind of briefly explain them. All right, so I did make this little micro SaaS, and that made about $450. And then I sell ebooks on Amazon KDP, and that made a little, $879. And then I have these different websites, and of course, maybe not of course, but the SaaS tool is, excuse me, is also a website. But the thing that's different is that this is a tool, whereas these websites, they all sell digital products like courses or ebooks. And so they're just sort of like a different category. They're all digital products, but SaaS is a little bit different. So first, and I won't be sharing like the .com domain names, so I'm just going to label them as website 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first website made just over $1,000. Website 2 made just over $8,500. Website 3 made over about $300, and website 4 made $886. And then every month I do SEO work for one also solo founder, and I just make sure that her website gets more traffic. And that would be a total of, as I mentioned in the first slide, just over $13,000 for the month. So now let's talk about business expenses. I really try and keep it as lean as possible. So we've got some Google as well as HostGator. HostGator was pretty big because I had a few different domain names renew this month, and one of the domain names I plan to keep like forever, and so that has like a 3-year package. So it was like pretty big, which I always think like good places to find new businesses is to create are like to look at what you're already spending, and dang, like hosting and domain, like what a good business they have, because yeah, they've got me and I won't be switching anytime soon. All right, so Render is a company that I use to, honestly, I don't even know, but the developer, so I built like half of the micro SaaS, and then the part that just got too technical for me, I hired a contractor, and they use Render so that it like stays up, and yeah, it's doing a good job. So, and then Amazon KDP, I spent $50 experimenting with ads. And then OpenAI, I have like the paid account for $20, the ChatGPT. And then I have Workspace, one account, which is $16. And then I hired someone to do work, and that as a contractor, freelance work was $220, which brings the total expense to $570 for business expenses. And then if we find the profit margin of this, that would be just over 95% profit margin. All right, so now let's go on to this section here where we can, again, we've seen the profit for the month. Here are income taxes, which we haven't talked about. And, this is like part of the thing that I wanted to become just better at is like how to do taxes as a self-employed person. And so in the state that I live in, I asked ChatGPT, like, how much should I save for quarterly taxes? And it said, between 25 and 30%. So I just took the mean of that, which is 27.5%. And if we take 27.5% of 12,616, it's this about $3,400. So that's where that comes from. And then if we do the subtraction between profit margin minus income tax, that would be where the net profit actually comes from. And now let's talk about how I pay myself as a founder or self-employed solopreneur. So I started by reading the book Profit First, which you're probably familiar with if you're watching this, but I like it, but I do think that there's a way to, again, like I'm new here, I'm like, not a pro or anything, but it's something like business finance is something that I personally want to become better at. But the one thing that I took from Profit First, and let me know in the comments if I misinterpreted it, but it's like you pay yourself first as the founder, and then you pay the other expenses, but essentially you're paying yourself a salary. So no matter how well or poor your business did that month, you make the same. And I don't really like that, or let me say, like, if I understood that Profit First is that, I do feel like there's a way to improve upon that model. And so what I do is I give myself a base rate, which is pretty low, of $2,500, because I feel like I can live on that. But then I also do a profit share with myself. I treat myself like as if I'm an employee, and I take 30% of the profit. So what I like about this is that it aligns the incentives for me to work smarter and probably work harder, because the more the business makes, the more I will make. And if I'm like, oh yeah, I just want to ride my bike and go to the beach, and if the business like profits decline, then as the CEO, I should be personally responsible for that. And so I just like this model where, if you do good, you get more, and if you don't, you don't. And so if we take this total, then my total as the founder would be about $5,200 for the month. And let's talk about retained earnings. So retained earnings come from taking net profit minus total founder pay. And so retained earnings are what you can reinvest in the business. It's like, this is like what's in the business account right now after, the money made minus the expenses, minus putting away for quarterly taxes, minus my own labor. Now I have as like an allocator of capital, I have $3,900 for the month of September in order to deploy in the best way that I possibly can. And so I started thinking like, how might that be? And this is like not set in stone at all. This is going to be the first month that I've thought about really breaking business income down like this. But first and foremost, in the couple of years that I've been making like 100% of the things made, like the website and the digital products and the marketing and like the SEO, like just every single thing has like all come from these fingertips. And I feel like I've built a business that, you can see like it makes money, and it would be smart for me to hire more. And so I want to put 60% into hiring other contractors. That would be about 2,300. And then also I do feel like I could be leaving money on the table, because as you saw, I did try and, or not even try, like I spent $50 on Amazon KDP for advertising, but it could be possible, especially because 60% of my customers come from YouTube. I should learn Google ads, including YouTube ads. And so I want to put 15%, which would be, over $500, which is 10x what I'm normally doing. And that feels a little bit scary as like a founder to like use that money. But because I'm such of like a hardcore, like organic SEO, like type of like, grind my teeth doing this SEO so people can find me all over the, place just organically. And I love that. I think it's a great way to start, but I'm going to try and use some of the capital in advertising. So then also I thought like, 15% would be a good business buffer just to leave in the business bank account in case something breaks. whatever needs come up. And then this is something that I'm not doing right now. And if you know about this, please let me know in the comments or send an email. I put a link in the description below for the newsletter. Just click on that, enter, and hit reply. But I'm already investing like my personal income, like I feel pretty well, and I've been doing that for like a long time since I've been pretty young. But as far as when it comes to taking the income earned from the business and doing like a SEP IRA or 401, like solo 401k, I still need to learn that. And I feel like basically what this means, like Founder Future Fund, that's like a retirement account for me. Now I have my own, but it's like the personal side, not the business side. And I know that as a business owner, there are certain advantages that you can, certain opportunities or like instruments, financial instruments that you can take advantage of to invest more as a business owner. So I want to try that. And then, yeah, that's the total of the retained earnings. So let's go on to the next portion here. And now we're going from business to personal. And so, yeah, I like never hear founders like talk about, what they're spending, because, what I want this channel to be is like financial independence through entrepreneurship. So we're all kind of like trying to reach the same goal, but I very rarely hear anyone talk about the personal side. Because if you're making 10K a month and then you're just going to spend it, like what's the point anyways? Like, I mean, entrepreneurship is fun when it works, but I mean, you want like a result, right? And at the end of the day, you want to feel like you're doing smart stuff with your money. So, because honestly, like it's hard to earn. And so this is how much I'm paying myself. And then if you look here, this would be the investments that I already do on my personal side. So every month I invest $2,500 into 3 different ETF fund accounts at Vanguard. And then I take 5% of 2,500, which is 150, and I invest in, at Bitcoin, $100 in Bitcoin, at Coinbase, $100 in Bitcoin and $50 in Ethereum. And so I mean, I think it's super silly to not have anything in crypto, but I don't want like a ton in crypto. So I've got a 5% portfolio, and that feels honestly smart to me. Whether you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. Again, like this is like how I think, feel, and believe. It's also kind of how I've calculated stuff, but would love to know what you're doing. So if you take a look at how much I'm investing, which is about $2,600, versus like how much I'm paying myself each month, or at least this month, that would be approximately 50% investing, which, some people might think that's aggressive, but essentially I want to live as lean as I can while having the highest quality of life that I can. And then I want to invest the difference. And honestly, I'm so damn happy, like in my personal life, like, and so I don't know, apparently like there's money left over. However, that being said, I did spend too much money this past month. And so what this means is that I essentially, if I'm going to pay myself this $5,200, and if I want to invest $2,600, then that means that I have $2,500 to spend on the cost of being me. However, when I added up my expenses, I actually spent $436.84 more than what I was sort of allotted to. And that's, again, part of the reason that I want to start tracking this stuff, because it's really eye-opening. Like, damn, about $500 over, man. Like, how needy are you? You know what I mean? So, like, let's take a look at my personal finance expense breakdown. So you can have a look. Like, this is what I spend on my phone. This is what I spend on health insurance every month. Those two are like fixed costs. And this is like my rent. And someone in another video, I don't remember if I put it on this channel or not, but when I told them my rent, they were like, you must be living like in a shack, like blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, if you even knew, man, especially because I used to live in like Shanghai and Hong Kong for years. And then I went to graduate school in San Francisco. I lived in like tiny boxes. And like now I'm like, I've got like a 12-foot tall ceiling. I live with 2 other awesome dudes. And like we have this super nice like full kitchen, which is like, if you've ever been to Asia, like you just don't get that. We have got like a living room, a dining room. We've got a back porch that's banging, a front porch. We've got upstairs and downstairs. Like, it's incredible. So like, and I live in a major city. So like, just remember that, like, I don't know, there are still like good deals to be had, and yeah, you got to hack that rent. So that really helps out. Now everything else is okay, but if you take a look at this, yeah, the transportation, I bought a new bicycle, and I've always been the type of dude who would buy like $100 bike and it gets me from A to B. I should actually show you what I used to ride for the 2 years that I lived in Hong Kong. It's truly hilarious because it's like only what extremely old like Hong Kongese, Cantonese like men ride. And it's just like the biggest piece of junk, but I loved it. And anyways, I bought like a nice fast road bike. And so anyways, like $550 went towards that. So hopefully, as long as it doesn't get stolen, like it will last me a while. But that's part of the reason that I spent so darn much this month. And also, I bought a plane ticket to go home, and that was like $250. And yeah, so just with all that stuff. But the number one thing that I really just need to get my grip on is like eating out, because $478 is seriously ridiculous. That's like no control. And I think it probably comes from like living in Asia for so long. I lived there for a total of like 9 years, or no, it was probably abroad for like 9 years, but I probably lived in Asia for like 8 years. And you can just like go out to eat like whenever you want, and I'm like still adjusting to like, no, you cannot, like in the United States anymore. And so I need that needs to go to like at least half, if not less. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Drop whatever you're thinking, feeling, or if you have like tips about like, like I said, like if you're really good at business finance or finance in general, or if you want to see something else different that I may not have included or whatever, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.